isn't consciousness the first question we have to answer?
Not mine. It's not even the first question I would think of asking. Why does it seem so very compelling to you or C.S. Lewis? Yeah, it's one of those things. It's certainly true that I'm conscious. I have my doubts about you and...
You know the Russian people there. They've been fighting government for years, back from the 1870s, Tsarist times. They're always plotting against the government. And the intelligentsia is known through history as being contentious and anti-government. We see the same thing, educated people turning against Russia. I don't appreciate those people because I think they're very spoiled and they don't understand some of the stuff that's going on in the West. That's why Putin connects with the people, because he represents the common man who's saying to you, your interests are threatened. Russia is threatened. We are representing only the interests of Russia. We're not an empire. We're not going to expand.
So the imperialist imperative is coming more from the West.
It's the imperialist agenda.
Don't fuck with me, fellas! This ain't my first time at the rodeo.
So still, your punk ass is a punk ass.
I didn't even know he was sick.
Going back to, where we left our discussion off.
I went in, because I'm a capitalist. Papers at the top of my list.
I didn't even know he was sick.
He was in charge of the vaccine program.
You don't give a shit about anything, you fucking idiots. You don't care about anything. You don't care about humanity, people, who's getting bombed. You don't care about cluster bomb sales. You don't even know about Qatar and human trafficking in Qatar. And then they're going to wag their little fingers at me as if I have to believe what they believe immediately because they turned on the TV and plugged, their little mind in via cord to the TV. Go fuck yourselves.
This is an attack on politicians. As people are grabbing these politicians out of their cars.
Oh my goodness, those are bats and wooden sticks?
Yes, all of this. I mean, this is what's happening.
I didn't get here because I work hard. I have a gift from God.
The head of the Brad Pitt fan club shouldn't fuck Brad Pitt. Do you think that they would have a good 2-day fuck and watch movies at Netflix and spoon and giggle and have a gay old time, Brian?
Yes.
You do think that?
I think they want to spoon and have a gay old time. I don't think that.
One of the kind of philosophical things that I hope to achieve is kind of decouple the concept of public goods, which are incredibly important and are the lifeblood of modern civilization, from the idea that there is or can be one central organization that represents the public and perfectly understands and can impose their idea of what is the good.
And the printing of a lot of money creates a lot of inflation, and with that inflation, then nobody wants to, cash is trash.
When people talk about public goods, it just often comes with this baggage of
nobody wants to, cash is trash.
Either centralization or conformism. It doesn't have to, right? Often the most important public goods are the ones that are created by the crazy individualists that disagree with everyone else.
I was trying to explain to these people, and then try to explain it again to January 6th people. You guys have no idea what you're messing with.
Yeah.
All of you guys have no idea. It's you guys out there in Chaz who are having your little fun and doing your little hippie experiment and seizing some property and we're starting the revolution. You exist because they have decided this suits their interests to allow you to exist. And if they decided it didn't, they will Waco you, motherfucker.
It's about business. I ain't gonna put no apple in my mouth allegedly like you, motherfucker. I went in. I ain't with no groups and no boys club. You connected to the show. See, you ain't connected to the group.
No, 2, take 3. Action, please.
It's a Super Bowl. Some American thing, I don't really get much about it.
Try to help you young guys in this profession you've chosen. It's 1 or 2 steps above prostitution.
Martin, Malcolm, Huey, Alvin.
And there was Anthony Stabile.
Yeah, you may answer that. That is an absolute crock of...
This lockdown gave some very nefarious people some very valid data about how much people will put up with under pressures from the state.
So fundamentally, what is the problem with the state?
Its existence.
Please do not follow too closely.
I have often said that the right solution is not to elect the right people to office, but to make it politically profitable for the wrong people to do the right thing.
Because unless it's politically profitable for the wrong people to do the right thing, the right people won't do it either. And I should think by this time we have had ample experience to demonstrate the validity of that proposition.
I do not recognize this court's right to try me, nor do I recognize any of my actions as a crime. If you believe you may seize my property simply because you need it, if you feel you have the right to use force against me, bring guns.
We have no intention of pointing guns and seizing your property.
You have no chance.
Wake up every morning feeling rotten, and you let the world know about it. But soon you detect a change. People begin to walk away as you approach. They don't want to hear your deadly recitation anymore. Even your family turns an uninterested deaf ear to your protestations of being on the brink of a slow and painful death. Well, this makes you angry. So childlike, you cry out that nobody cares whether you live or die, and by this time you're pretty close to the truth.
I didn't even know he was sick.
But the country's nothing more than the aggregate of the people. Is the country earning more than it's spending and building savings? Or is it spending more than it is earning and creating debt? We are producing a lot of debt. We're spending a lot more than we're earning. And the printing of a lot of money creates a lot of inflation. Trash. You don't want to hold cash. Trash. You don't want to hold cash. It's a lot of inflation. Trash.
Please do not follow.
Trash. You want to hold a lot of inflation.
A way for it to be sustainable, there needs to be some way of supporting people who are working these projects. But at the same time, you want to avoid that turning into a vector of centralization, like trying to sort of get all of the good things without the bad things.
You become frustrated, you become unfulfilled, and eventually you become bored.
Kind of focuses on painting nude. I like to paint nude and squirt on my paintings. That's my thing. But I get censored a lot.
Unacceptable. It's the job of science to figure out what guesses are right and what are wrong. Scientists are paid for making guesses, not for making right guesses, but for making interesting, plausible ones.
Evolution say people came from monkeys. And the question is, why is there still monkeys, you dumb motherfucker, you?
And if scientists, after the guess has been made, don't do their job, don't investigate the guess, don't do their best to figure out is it true or false, then we are false to science and we're betraying science.
They didn't turn into people just yet. Get your stupid ass the fuck out of here.
A colloquialism. Tell us what intelligent design is that distinguishes it from some kind of effort to sneak God in by some back door.
Sure. The intelligent design... But parenthetically, just one word. That's definitely not Steve's intention. It's not a way to bring in a theological argument. It is a scientific approach, purely and absolutely valid scientifically. One can agree with it or disagree with it, but one doesn't have to reject it insofar as theology making an illegal move, because that's not what he's doing.
That's not what you... Good. Let me sketch the argument.
No, I'm not going to argue with you.
People just go out there, they make whatever deals they can with each other, work things out, and go on their way.
That's why you can go and see walls with people's names on them in D.C. and the people that have died for this country. It's the fact that people serve this country, and there is a cost of freedom. That's why people aren't getting mortared and they have time to run around and go, I'm non-binary, let's fight about that. You think anybody getting shot at has time to tell you that bullshit? It's because we're so safe.
You understand that no one signed these documents and no one agreed to it. The Constitution or the social contract, if anything, is only binding to the signatories. And even then, they're all long dead. So it's this fallacy that somehow because I'm in a physical place, I've agreed, even though I'm screaming at you in the face that I don't agree, to be subordinate to some imaginary invisible monster that was created 250 years ago. And this idea of like, if you don't like it, you have to move. That's not what freedom means. Freedom means I do what I want, not what you want. So if you don't like it, you move.
Oh! String. And if there's no boat string crossing there.
The actual research that has been done on this, which by and large finds that social media is not a large driver of polarization.
Retweeting hate that is sent my way.
That's right, I said it.
I can handle this alternative reality from time to time.
What do you say about that?
I know everything about this stuff.
Where we left our discussion off, I am scared because if you get your Facebook page suspended or your YouTube, Twitter account thrown off, say you can't speak out, it affects your business. It goes back to the 1950s. Express any sympathy for a Soviet Union. without endangering your job, without basically being not trusted.
I at the time didn't fully understand.
We don't learn. We don't learn.
Have you no consideration for a woman's feelings? Handing over my belongings to a total stranger.
The cost is so high, we cause it, dump it on the government, becomes a bureaucracy, it becomes special interest, it kowtows to the insurance companies and the drug companies. We have lack of competition. There's no competition in medicine. Everybody's protected by licensing. We should actually legalize alternative health care.
You're tougher than I thought. So don't worry about it, Doc. Just nail it back on. The Marines on the other side of the hill went over the hill to get over here. You can work that out. You're ready for Section 8. But don't worry about those riots you hear about in the States. You'll be sent to survival school before they send you back. Now, man, I bring you great news from the land of liberty. It's still there.
He hates these cans! Stay away from the cans!
We don't learn. We don't learn.
Do you remember their policies with the IRA in Ireland when Ireland was threatening them? They cut off the IRA completely.
You know why I'm laughing? Because I know what's coming next and I'm so funny. Hey!
In France, all constantly through the Algerian War, the Algerians were not allowed to be heard. The Algerian War for Independence divided France greatly.
Well, there you have it. One of the best and most common formulas for being miserable and making those around you miserable as well. And it all starts with becoming too wrapped up in yourself, feeling that you're important somehow.
I do what I want, not what you want. So if you don't like it, you move.
I have a gift from God. It's just me, you know what I mean? Just by myself. And then have nobody to talk to, and then read, and then finally talk to somebody, and they're like, oh, God, what's happening?
What side was that, Private Pile?
Sir, left side, sir!
Are you sure, Private Pile?
Now, I am not, my friends, some holier-than-thou intellectual who understands how in the world to be expressive in talking about art and defining its great distinctions. All I know is...
You want to go in there?
Come on. Huh? I can't.
Why you can't?
Because the door's not open all the way.
The problem with democracy is that those who need leaders are not qualified to choose them.
No, 2, take 3.
Action, please.
Ah, the French.
Oh! You keep claiming it was a joke.
Bad dude.
Stop. If he takes another 2 steps, we'll be back to God, the medieval period, and the Inquisition.
Sir, are you sure?
Yeah, I suppose so. We should have the confidence to follow a scientific theory wherever it leads. And if it leads back to the medieval period, if it leads back to the 13th century, and if it leads finally to the Inquisition, I'm prepared so long as I'm among the Inquisitors.
The Inquisition.
You're a barber.
The Inquisition.
Look out, Sam.
We have a mission to convert.
You're a barber. So normally in good times, how often do people get a haircut? Every 4 to 6 weeks. So about a month to a month and a half, people get a nice little clip. And now when people they tell you the last they got a haircut was 4 to 6 months. 4 to 6 months.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
War is always a partial or full miscalculation.
This is a thing that always bothers me. I get upset with people over how they use language. Like you're just using several things that have been said before. I think you're just making up things until I go away. That's what it feels like. Because people use the cliches without thinking about what they mean, you know? I don't like it. They're just throwing out ideas. I don't know how to talk to people. When I was a kid, I just sit in my room
in order to live.
A man.
One of the 7 wonders of the world.
A rich man.
We're gonna treat all you women, the way women ought to be treated.
Oh, man.
Someone says, I'm deeply puzzled about consciousness. Everybody says that. It's a very fashionable thing. They say it in teen Vogue, for heaven's sakes.
A colloquialism.
When social media's business model is showing each tribe their boogeyman, their extreme reality, it forces a more polarized political base, which means to get elected, you have to say something that's going to appeal to a base that's more divided. And they say, we don't want to do that. We don't want to run our campaign that's about saying negative things about the other party. But when you change the algorithm, that's the only thing we can do to get attention. it shows how central the algorithm is to everything else. There's a reason! If I'm Tucker Carlson or Rachel Maddow or anybody who's a political personality, are they really saying things just for their TV audience? Or are they also appealing to the algorithm because more and more of their attention is going to happen downstream in these little clips that get filtered around?
Oh, all right, so what? Why is that intelligible from a scientific or a philosophical point of view as a pressing issue?
Another of life's simple pleasures ruined by a meddling bureaucracy, ladies and gentlemen.
So the bitterness deepens, the misery thickens, and you draw farther and farther back into your cave, shouting imprecations at the world, throwing an occasional stone at a passerby, and in general, making a complete ass of yourself.
Let me answer that. You know, that is an absolute crock of...
How you doing, all right?
Is it warm in here?
What's me? You know, the pressure. It's always there, you know.
You want me to, I'll do a commercial, give you a chance to cool off a little bit?
Whatever you like. It's okay. I mean, it's not my ball game, you know.
That's right. But we'll do this
We'll return
right after this, sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Benjamin Shapiro.
The least interested in actual empirical tests, testing ideas against reality, are intellectuals.
They have a huge ego stake in a given set of conclusions. I mean, if you believe in free markets and traditional values and so forth, there is no exaltation that comes with that. You're just somebody who believes in free markets and traditional values.
The market knows more than I do.
Yes.
The traditional moral wisdom of the ages knows more than I do. You humble yourself.
But if you believe in social justice and saving the environment, I mean, you're really something. And empirical evidence is like gambling all of that on a roll of the dice.
A lot of people said, will Gilbert Dice Godfrey, will people want to see him?
Well, it's great to have you join us on another edition of the program Capital Market Live on Channels Television. I'm Ladi Williams. First off,
you know, some of the older guys die off. They're replaced by the new guys who've now basically taken control of the university curriculums, and they've been indoctrinated into this idea of a strict gradualism, and that any deviation from that strict gradualism is heresy, basically. So by the time we get to the 20th century, you had this reigning uniformity, reigning gradualist dogma that had been imposed upon all earth science. And anybody who deviated from that was immediately kicked out of the club.
But it's funny, if you'd actually think about what it would have looked like for someone to watch a movie of our world 100 years ago, it would be unimaginably amazing. We have conquered a lot of the diseases that were ravishing the world 100 years ago. We had a much more food, much better education, all these things.
Well, are you serious? Did you just write that?
And we are with a little more than 150 naked men, women, and children.
Anthony Weiner is going to be investigated, for which I apologize.
It's worthy to bring you this information. The list goes on and on. And others that I've talked to and have TV shows bad-mouthing the founding fathers.
To bear it all, to kind of try and explain their lifestyle, share it.
The human race began in poverty. So there's no mysterious explanation as to why some people are poor. The question is, why have some people gotten prosperous? Why have some people gotten prosperous? And in particular, why have some gotten prosperous to a greater degree than others?
There's a fucking reason!
That ought to do it. Thanks very much, Ray.
Are you a god?
No.
New York City this morning, the man police call the country's most powerful crime boss faces the possibility of life in prison.
Suspected defendant John Gotti, we find him not guilty.
I'm embarrassed. Enough showers, baths, and the beyond does not eradicate the stain. That hovers over me every time my name is associated with this damn franchise.
Oh, shit! You just sit at home in your grandma's basement with your drawers on, typing on your damn keyboard. Shut the hell up. Check, you know, all the people on the internet who are mean, they sit at home and living with their parents, got their computer out. Sitting in your grandma's basement with your drawers on, watching, seeing what happened at the
world is passing you by.
I feel
a song coming on.
Hey, what y'all wanna do today? Hey, let's do this. Let's do it. Thanks, fellas. What's going on? That means you gotta feel good tonight.
Makes sense.
I'm getting tired of hearing the same things from people talking about how bad things are now, when at the same time they engage in all the stuff that they fucking complain about.
Yeah, and it's living quite an artificial life as well.
Yeah.
I think the art community on the internet, it became quite a toxic space. One, there's a lot of competition based on numbers, which is absolutely insane. And it creates like this echo chamber effect that everyone has to agree with everyone in order to participate.
What the does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
If your main goal is getting more followers and more clicks, then you have to reevaluate what your priorities are.
Are you serious?
On July 3rd, 2 persons were seen coming towards our lines bearing a white flag. It was a glorious sight to soldiers on the line.
Your terms, General. I propose.
No proposals. Terms won't change. Unconditional surrender.
Oh, shit! Are you fucking nuts? Good morning. It's the 4th of July. You're fucking with an American, motherfuckers.
We just got whipped.
General Tran. Retain your sidearms, General.
Democracy just doesn't work. We don't learn. We don't learn. We have the example before our very eyes, and we refuse to learn from it. Cheer me up.
No, I'm not going to argue with you.
People just go out there, they make whatever deals they can with each other, work things out, and go on their way. And here is all this unused brilliance standing on the sideline, watching with impotent rage. As Germans living in Eastern Europe had much higher standards of living than the indigenous peoples of Eastern Europe. Intellectuals will say, well, the Germans have somehow oppressed the people of Eastern Europe.
Right.
Or the ones who are into genetic determinism will say the Germans were born biologically superior to the people of Eastern Europe. But anyone with a knowledge of history would know that there are all kinds of reasons why Western Europe as a whole has far greater wealth producing capacity than Eastern Europe. But of course that would then cut out the role of intellectuals.
Now again, that may be lost on all the people. You know and I know what we're talking about. Someone may apply it in a way who leads them in a direction that is, quote, liberal.
Okay, knock that shit
You may apply it in a way that leads you in a direction that's conservative.
You got a choice.
Or you may, like many argue, not apply it at all.
Your punk ass is a punk ass.
But it is a fundamental question that is going to be almost impossible for non-lawyers to grasp in an exchange. But you know and I know it is a big, big deal. And in conclusion,
One of the things you do in hearings is you have to sit there and look attentively at people you know have no idea what they're talking about.
Listen, don't be misled. The people who want an evolving constitution are not trying to bring you flexibility. The people who want to read new stuff into the Constitution are seeking what a Constitution always provides, and that is rigidity. That's why they're reading new stuff in. And that's why you should leave the Constitution the low bar that it already is. What did the people decide to take out of the democratic process? And all the rest, we persuade each other and vote on it.
Makes sense.
That I at the time didn't fully understand.
In saying that inflation is always caused
been unanticipated
by a more rapid increase in the quantity of money than an output. You're only at the beginning of the problem.
Been unanticipated
because you must distinguish the immediate cause from the more ultimate cause.
Energy and
you must ask, why is it that the quantity of money increases too rapidly?
Food prices, supply bottlenecks that have affected our economy badly, that I at the time didn't fully understand.
That proposition has been documented over and over again.
You say, look, we really don't understand this.